If you've just tuned in from my Final Fantasy review play, thanks so much for giving that video a watch. And if you've just happened to stumble across this in your adventures across YouTube and you're interested in my review of the game after you've checked out this video, then I really encourage you to do that. Like my other video, this will remain spoiler free, so I won't reveal any of the pivotal things that happen during the game, but I will extensively cover the events which lead up to where you enter the game. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. To begin piecing together the Final Fantasy XV universe, we have to go to the very beginning, before the main protagonist and the game's story comes into play. In the planet of Eos, there are 6 Astrals who forged humans in their image. These Astrals are the protectors of Eos, and thus worshipped by humans because of their immense power. The god of fire Ifrit had shown his favour and compassion to humans because of their determination, and bestowed his flame upon them, and the civilization of Solheim was born. But man's thirst for power motivated them to build advanced weaponry to be rid of the Astrals, which angered Ifrit and led him to wage war against them. But the Astrals were sworn to protect mankind, and Ifrit's betrayal began the Astral War against the other 5. Ifrit was eventually defeated by Bahamut and was laid to rest upon the Rock of Ravato. The destruction left in its wake had destroyed Solheim, and the nations of Lucius, Tenebrae, Accordo and Niflheim were forged soon after. A phenomenon known as the Star Scourge had also awakened, an anomaly which infects humans and animals and turns them into demons, with the added threat of engulfing the world into perpetual darkness with a miasma that emanates from their bodies. So, realising the severity of this threat to mankind and an ongoing duty to protect them, the Astrals bestow man with the Crystal, a magical artifact granting its power to the bloodline of Lucian royalty to protect the planet from the Star Scourge. The Astrals had also granted the women of a Tenebraean bloodline the ability to purify that which the Star Scourge had corrupted, and to also commune with the Astrals themselves. Thus the role of the Oracle was formed. Now, without going too far into the details and potentially destroying a large chunk of plot development, the founder king of Lucius became the royal lineage of the Lucius Caelum bloodline, who were entrusted with the protection of the crystal, and also blessed with the Ring of the Lucii, an ancestral token used to command the power of the crystal and channel the powers of past kings and queens of the bloodline whose spirit was absorbed into the ring at their passing. Some of the weapons that were used by the kings of old and which have physically survived throughout time can be absorbed by an heir to be used as a part of their spectral armature, which represents a significant token of a king lending their power to the next heir to the throne. The founder king still had to prove his worth to the Astrals to be deemed worthy of harnessing this power and receive their aid by enduring a set of trials on Eos, which also caused more destruction across the land. Having earned their favour by completing the trials, the Founder King and the Astrals fought the Star Scourge, but because the crystal did not have enough power to dispel the darkness, they could only banish it. The Astrals having exhausted their strength, they went into a deep slumber, and until the Star Scourge returned, they would not awaken until the true heir had risen to defeat it once and for all. Until then, the Lucius Caelum bloodline would be the protectors of the crystal, with the past kings and queens over many generations to be absorbed by the crystal at their death, and for one day, the true king would be ordained by the crystal itself to channel the power of all the old kings and destroy the Star Scourge once and for all. To protect the crystal, Lucian kings throughout the many generations would protect all of Lucius and her capital, known as Insomnia, with a magical wall, channeled by the king through the power of the crystal. The Niflheim Empire, however, envied the powers bestowed upon Lucius and Tenebrae by the Astrals, and had also sought to return Solheim to its former glory. And so, they declared war against all the nations, in hopes to achieve the domination that Solheim once held over Eos. This campaign proved successful with their advanced military technology, harnessing both Magitech weaponry and the utilization of demon experimentation, and they overwhelmed the nation of Accordo and placed it under imperial reign. Niflheim's military prowess proved too much for the Lucian kings, which resulted in the wall being continuously pushed back, leaving surrounding regions to be conquered by the Imperials. Fast-tracking along to the 113th heir to the Lucius Caelum bloodline, King Regis Lucius Caelum is in power after his father King Mors passed away, and is now tasked with protecting the crystal and holding the wall. His wife Queen Orlea gave birth to their son Noctis, who is the main protagonist of the game. Unfortunately, Orlea passes away and leaves Regis to raise Noctis on his own. However, a young Ignis Scientia, whose family comes from a line of retainers who have served Lucian royalty, is asked personally by King Regis himself to look after Noctis as well. It was later on that King Regis finds out from the kings of old that his son is to be the chosen one, who would be ordained to destroy the Star Scourge once and for all. Though this is not depicted in the main game and more so in a trailer, you see the absolute heartbreak of King Regis, knowing that the destiny his son has before him and the sacrifices that need to be made in order to achieve that goal will carry a large weight throughout his life. From learning this, Regis forms the Kingsglaive from the remnants of outlying regions conquered by the Imperials, those including refugees from Galad who had the ability to be able to channel the king's magic. He then also embarks on his own adventure with his companions Cid Sophia, Claris Amicitia, Corleonis and Weskham Armagh, with his party formerly known as the Crownsguard. They left the capital to restore the alliance that had been lost with Accordo many years ago from the Niflheim attack. Fast forward a little bit, and a young Prince Noctis and his retainers were attacked on the road, where he sustained an injury from a Marilith, a six-armed, sword-wielding, half-snake, half-woman demon. Spurred on as an intentional attack from Niflheim, King Regis and his attendants managed to push back the Marilith and rescue Noctis, but the injury and the trauma had caused Noctis to fall into a deep coma. Receiving medical care in Tenebrae, when he awakens he becomes friends with the young lady Lunafreya, the next oracle in the Nox Fleuret bloodline. It was there he also learned of his destiny as the chosen king to destroy the Star Scourge, but in his naivety, promises Lunafreya that he would complete this task, though he didn't understand the full weight of what it was. War continued to rage, however, with Niflheim launching a major attack against Tenebrae, with General Glorka leading the charge, killing the oracle Silva Nox Fleuret, mother of Lunafreya and Ravus, and leaving the capital of Tenebrae in flames. In a hasty retreat, Regis escapes with Noctis but becomes separated from Lunafreya, and what happened to be the very last time they would see each other for a very long time. Moving ahead a little, and despite their royal stature, Noctis attended a public school where he also met Prompto Argentum, a young boy who only became Noctis' friend after an encounter with an injured dog, which later turned out to be Pruna, one of Lady Lunafreya's dogs. Upon Pruna's return, Lunafreya sends Prompto a letter mentioning that he and Noctis should be friends, but he was too ashamed to face him after the young prince tactfully mentioned that he was sick. However, this motivated the young Prompto to lose weight and gave him the confidence in high school to become his friend. As a future king-to-be, Noctis still shouldered the responsibility to defend the kingdom one day and take the crown, so he often trained with a young Crownsguard named Gladiolus Amicitia, the son of Claris who went adventuring with King Regis. Gladiolus and Noctis' relationship was soon to be bonded after Gladiolus' sister Iris had visited the castle wanting to visit the young prince, but managed to get lost chasing a cat. Later found by Noctis, instead of Iris getting in trouble by her older brother, Noctis took the blame. But this was soon to be found out by Gladiolus, who appreciated the selfless gesture and continued to work with Noctis more closely, subverting his view that Noctis was just a spoilt brat. So now we finally fast forward to the near present day. Things are beginning to stir around Lucius, with the impending threat of Niflheim making their final push to conquer the lands around Lucius. King Regis communes with the crystal, but now the wheels are in motion. The crystal demands one more life in order for it to give Noctis the strength to destroy the Star Scourge forever. King Regis's. Understanding the responsibility, King Regis knows the only way to be able to accomplish this is to sacrifice the lives of many for his son. Chancellor Ardonizunia of the Niflheim Empire arrives in Lucius and offers a proposition to King Regis.
The fetching Prince Noctis of Lucis and the fair Princess Lunafreya of Tenebrae. They are to be wed.
King Regis agrees to these terms with no other viable option in place. However, it causes uproar amongst Insomnia, especially within the Kingsglaive. With many of their homes situated outside of the walls of Insomnia, including Galad to the northeast, Niflheim will now have control over these regions, despite most of them having fought for it for so long and with losses too many to count. It is then Noctis prepares to see Lunafreya, alongside his retainers come friends Ignis, Prompto and Gladiolus, with his father's blessing before the eve of the upcoming treaty signing. Given the keys to his father's car, the Regalia, the four companions set off on their journey to Altissia to meet with Lunafreya and have their wedding to establish peace and end the war. As they set off, the car runs out of fuel, and thus begins the story which we enter the game. So thanks for watching this. Hopefully you're coming away with newfound knowledge of the game, and maybe you'll return to it with fresh eyes. But if you've played it, then check out my thoughts on the game after this video if you haven't already, and I'll have more stuff coming out soon. Thanks again, this is Chris Bow signing out.